Hi folks, this is Rose from In Rose's Garden, and today we are going to make some little rings using some 20 gauge wire and the last of our beads from our April bead box. So let's get turned down and we'll start on those. So what we have is some 20 gauge German style wire in antique copper and bronze, and we have the last of our little beads out of our April bead box. Now I've got these separated into 3 bunches because we're going to make 3 separate little rings. Thought I noticed some damage on this one for a second, so let's check. I do have 1 extra if there is some damage on this one. And it looks like there is a little crack right there. So we'll set this one aside and get one of these others out. So what we're going to do with this is we're going to make a 3 stone ring with them like this. This batch here is also going to be a 3 stone ring. If I can get it open and get the beads out. However, this is going to have the agate, one of the green agates in the middle with the 2 bicones on either side. And lastly, we're going to make one with all bicones. We're just going to use 4 bicones in a row, like so. So we just need to get our wire out and start wrapping these rings up. So we've got our ring mandrel here and our tape measure. I don't always measure my wire when I'm cutting it, but we're going to so I can show you how much we're going to use. Now I'm going to cut about 10 inches. Sometimes I go with a little more, but usually I actually only go with 9, but I wanted to make sure we had plenty here. It looks like I grabbed the wrong end here. I must have this cut. Oh yes, I do. I cut it in a weird spot at some point in time. So we'll cut off from this piece about 12 inches. Put that aside. So now that we've got 1 piece of wire cut, what we want to do is take our ring mandrel, choose what size we want this to be. I personally don't care because I'm not going to keep these. I'm going to put them in my cell box. And then just go up 1 size. Put it in approximately the middle and wrap her around. Pull her tight. And I'm going to pull it all so we go around each side 1 more time, so that we come up over here like this. See? Now what we're going to want to do is we're going to want our beads onto this wire. So since I've decided they're going to be staggered, I will put all 3 beads on and then I will wrap them around the way I want them. Now you got to be careful on this step because they're going to try and fall back off. It's inevitable. So we put our beads on and then we bring them around the way we want them. Now I want this green one in the middle, but this one that I put on last, I want over here on the other side. And then this first one we put on, we want it to keep wrapping because we want it to sit right here. So now that we've got those like that, we want to bring our side wires across. Stay down, baby. And what we're going to do is bring this wire through here in a loop, and it is going to hold that bead in place. Okay, so press that down like that so that it stays up there. Bring this one closer, and then we're going to take this wire and wrap it around this direction. Now you can see it's pulled up from both sides of the green wire, so green bead. So we want to push it so it goes down on either side, like so. Now you'll notice that this little bead is now loose again. So we need to bring this wire up a little tighter so that it sits right beside that bead. And we want to do the same with this side. And again, she's moving up, so we got to push her back down into place. And we're going to make a little cage around the green one, and this two little bicones are going to sit on either side like so. Next, when we're sure we got that the way we want it, we want to do a couple of wraps with our extra wire here. On either side, like so. See, this one has 3 wraps up here now. Now we're going to do the same on this side with this one. As you can see, this one's trying to slide down some, so I'm going to move it up with my thumbnail. Then we're going to do those couple more wraps that we were discussing. Now we have 3 on either side. Now this is where you can adjust your size, because the more wire you wrap, the smaller your ring gets. So if you don't want it any bigger than that, that's where you want to stop as far as wrapping your wire around is concerned. But I'm going to wrap maybe 1 or 2 more times. Now that we've got that done, we're going to trim these wires down some so they're only about yay big each. And why I'm going to do that is because I'm going to start spiraling these. So in order to do a spiral, you want to take your round nose pliers and grab them where about the size you want it to be and start spinning it around. Now if you don't have almost a perfect little circle here, when you get to this point, you can cut the end off and restart. Okay, Now that you've got the loop started, take your flat nose pliers, hold them over the top of that loop, and just spin it around. Now we'll do the same to this other side. Now you don't have to put a spiral at the end, I just like to. This one is not quite rolling around, but we'll get her. There we go, she's much better now. So now that she's up here, close to the base, what we want to do is take it and turn it so that it comes up to the base, like so. Now this one I'm going to leave on this side, and this one, when I turn it, I'm going to leave it on the other side. So we'll turn this one now, and we're going to put it right in here. So now the little peach bicones have a spiral beside them on the other side. And there is ring 1. Tuck this spiral just a teeny bit more over towards this wire. And if you want to, you could even tuck it slightly under our wrapping wire right there. And sometimes when they are being difficult to what you want, you need to take your pliers back out and insist. So this one is now tucked right up beside that other wire there, as is this one. And there's ring number 1. Pretty simple. And I hope you like that. And it turned out to be a size, looks like it's going to be a 6.5. Now I've got only 2 wires on here. You could wrap it another time to make it have 3 or even 4 wires back here, and then it'll be a little more stable. Actually, this is almost a 7. If I push, I can get it to a 7. There we go, we're a 7. So that's ring number 1. Okay, for the second ring now, we're going to use these 2 little remaining green beads and one of the peach bicones. We're going to get some wire out. Okay, we're going to go with a slightly different color of wire with this one. I find that this wire sometimes wraps rings a little better. This was German style, and it's great, but it's a little bit of a stiffer wire. So we're going to use this antique copper, if I can find the end, there it is, for our next ring. And then we're going to use some silver for this one, because I'm going to put some little silver spacers in between it. As you can see, I've got them out there. We'll use the silver wire with that one. So we're going to get our 12 inches of wire out here. Quite frankly, when I'm making rings, I tend to just pull a strand off and not really pay attention to how much wire it is normally, but this is fine. So now we're going to use this SoftFlex copper and antique copper SoftFlex Craft Wire for this little ring. So what we're going to do, we're going to put our beads on here. Get them to the middle as much as possible. Then we're going to take our wire mandrel. See, it wants, now we're going to have to put our thumb on the 3 little beads because they are going to try to run away. Now we start wrapping our wire around like we normally do. And then when we have them up here, we're going to hold them in place as best we can. I think we're going to make this just a little bit smaller. So we're going to pull the wires till they... Now what we want to do is we want to take our wire and go around the peach shimmer bead and the green one on this side, and bring our wire down over here. Then we want to do the same with this side, going around our peach shimmer, pushing it in, and then bringing her back over here. Now, as you can see, I didn't leave myself a lot of wire for this other side, so I'm probably not going to get a lot of wraps on there. That's all right. We only need 1 or 2 to hold it in place. But if you want to do one of these, you either need to make a smaller ring, give yourself some more wire, or don't do the 4 wraps, which I did here. This 4 wraps makes it have some more stability, so that's why I did that. Now we take it off, hold on to our ring, and bring our wire around here, bring it all the way through to the other side, and while we're holding here, tighten this up some with your fingers. As you can see, this has changed the length here, and this is popped out, so that's all right. Just push her back up into place, all of her, because the other side's coming out too. Push it down between the beads, just like you had it before. And now, when you come down and come around to wrap, it should keep it in place. Now, see, this one fell out because I didn't get it all the way wrapped before I... There we go. Now we pull that up. And because this one is a little longer, it should be easier to tighten, but I've got it over tightened because it's trying to come off. So there we go. And I push this down with my thumbnail. Now, my thumbnail gets a little rough right here, and if you don't want to use your thumbnail, you will need to find something that you can get in there without worrying your beads. So, now that we've got that, I'm going to take this little piece of wire over here and wrap it around and back up here. And obviously I did not get this in the middle, or I would have had more wire on this side. Now this has got a little sharp edge. We're going to have to file that a little bit. But first we want to get the other side on a little bit better. Now at this point, if you wanted to make a decorative spiral or something, you could with this little bit that's left here, but I am not going to because we want to have it as consistent with the other side as possible. Anyway, I do. And so we're going to cut this off right here. And squish it down, being careful not to mar your wire up too much. Okay, I don't feel a hard edge anymore. So anyway, if you want, you can carefully take your pliers in here and pull that wire down so it is snugged up there a little bit better to your bicone. And there we go. Now let's put it back on the ring mandrel and see what we've gotten it down to. It's about a size 5. So there we go. There is that one. There we are with our ring. It's now a little size 5. Now I didn't really pay much attention to this one when I was doing its initial wire wrap, so I'm not sure where I started at. But it was probably close to size 6. You generally want to give yourself an extra size from what you're making. So there's ring number 2. Let's check to make sure it doesn't have any sharp edges. Nope, it's feeling pretty good. And now we'll need to get the silver wire out to do ring number 3. So we'll get about a foot of the silver. And this kink I will probably cut off. A lot of people say just straighten it, but I don't think it straightens well enough all the time to be worth bothering with. Though I may leave it on just so I have the length for the while I am making this. So we've got our foot of wire, which includes that little bit at the top that I said I probably would cut off. And we will get this ring going. Now this one I'm going to try and put 3 across the back of this, 3 loops. So I'm just going to start it slightly to one side since I'm going to want 3. And bring her around. See how close we are. Okay, come up, and then you can come this way some more. Okay. So now we have all our little beads we're going to slide onto here. And we're going to use the peach bicones. And then a tiny, little tiny crystal spacer. Come on. Now, I've got 4 out, but I think we're going to stop with 3 because that's plenty. So we just roll these babies around till we get them to about where I want them to be at. Now this only, if I finish it right here, this is only going to leave me to have 2 on the back. Let's see if we can bring them around again to get those 4 I want and still have the front the way I want it. So let's bring her down here some more. Come up. Now this is going to put 2 wires on either side of our strand of beads because we're going to come over here with this one and over here with this one. And then we're going to do that tiny little wrap around both sides like we had on our other one, holding our beads and our wires, and then bringing our extra wire through all of our wires to the other side. Oops, I pulled them without getting that wire all the way through. Okay, you got to be careful of that because I let go of my wraps, and when I pulled, it didn't come all the way through it. So there we go. We're through now. So we want these little babies over here. And then we'll bring these. Now see how that's trying to go underneath the others? Pull those out. Now bring them up and bring this one to the other side. And over around your wires. Again, you'll notice these are trying to wrap themselves weirdly. Let them pull them back in place. And go under here. Now that you've got them on, this is the place you need to start doing your adjustings at. Because obviously they're not tight enough because they keep sliding out the other side. So put your ring on if you can. This one wanted to really shrink up here. And bring your wires. Take your pliers here and tighten her up if you can without breaking anything. Now see how that's brought up quite a bit now? So bring this even a little bit more before we wrap her one more time around. And if you need to use your pliers because you've gotten a short wire, go ahead, pull them close. If you're using silver, you usually don't have to worry about them marring your wire up too horribly much. If you're using a colored wire, the colored wire is placed over the silver, and you may find that you are marring your coating up. So you have to be really careful when you're using coated wire that you're not going to damage the coating on the wire. Go in and around again. Now see, this is pulled apart. I'm going to want to take it with my pliers and pull it together again. The same is true of this side. Okay, so we have 3 wraps on either side, though these look like they may have gone over each other a little bit. And we're going to come around one more time, and then we'll trim it off. Now we'll trim here. This didn't need a lot of trimming on this side. This side's going to need a little more because we just got this much. And then we're going to take our pliers and we're just going to squish that wire down carefully. Now see, I let it bag over on that side. Let's fix that. And then this one will need to be pushed down as well. This one is going down the hill again, so we need to pull her up. And that feels pretty good. So then this little one became very little. I know I could feel it as I let it go do that. Apparently, I need a little more wire if I want to do 4 wraps across the back. And, you know, it wouldn't be the first time I've had to do that. Okay, looks like this one's going to be just a little tiny 4. And I know of a lot of ladies that wear that tiny of a ring, so it's not me. I'll check to make sure if you feel any rough edges on your, there is a little one right there. So I'm going to need to take and squish that down a little more. And I don't feel it anymore, so that's good. So then we have this little ring with 2 caged wires on either side of it. And like I say, this is a tiny one, only about a 4. So I used a foot of wire with this little tiny one, and I didn't have a lot of excess. So if you want to do the 4 wires around the back, you might consider using 15. I don't always use the 4. Sometimes I just get it to 3 or just to even just to 2. This one was only a 2. So there's our 3 rings using the last of my beads for the April bead box. Well, not quite the last. I had one bicone left. Since I decided not to put 4 in here. It's a cute little ring. So anyway, there are our rings. Number 1 with the 3 beads offset, 2 spirals, only two wire bands. Number 2 with 3 beads with the wire coming around the 1 bead and going back to the other side. And this one I believe has 4. Yes, it does. And then the last one, which has got 3 of the bicones with some tiny little crystal spacers between them. It also has 4 wires. Now, if you wanted to make these bigger but not use any more wire, you would not do the 4 around, you'd just do the 2 around like the first one was. There we are, our 3 rings. This has been Rose from In Rose's Garden, and I hope you enjoyed this. We'll see you later. Bye-bye.